Chances are, if you work in an organization, people want to know how well you're doing, and so you're going to need to report your rankings, your marketing, and your analytics so that people know what to do and you can provide some direction and feedback to what's going on in the organization. Now, an important thing to remember is that different people need different reports. And so you just can't give the same report to everybody because they're not looking for the same information. You need to communicate specifically what information is necessary to the right person. And so you need to communicate with those people that you are providing reports to find out what information is critical to helping them do their job better. So first, let's start with the CEO report. When I'm developing a report for a CEO, I like to make it short and simple. I show just the facts, and I also show a comparison to the last report and also to the last year or to the last similar time period and how things have progressed. If you haven't progressed, you also need to be truthful and show where things have not exceeded expectations or maybe fallen. That will help your credibility. Make sure the report is simple and to the point and communicates the bottom line message that you want to get across. For a CEO, the one report that I always will show them is a channel report. The channel report lets them know how all of their online marketing is doing in comparison with one another. So I can look at my organic rankings. My SEO campaign is bringing the most amount of visitors, the most amount of revenue. The conversion rate comparatively is not as high as some others, but it's respectable, and it has a very high average value per visit compared to the other channels. My cost per click or pay per click campaign still brings in a good amount of people, a good amount of revenue, and the per visit value is lower because it does cost more to run that campaign. People who type in the website directly, well, there are people who already know about us. And so we're getting some good revenue, a high value based off of that. And our shopping search feed for an e-commerce site brings in not as many visitors, but is a high value and a high revenue generator. This gives a CEO a good mile-high view about how different campaigns are doing and where improvement could be made or where to adjust funds in order to take advantage of the revenue and value of each campaign. Now, for a manager, I like to break this down a little bit more. Now, sometimes this might all be the same person, and sometimes it might just be you. All of these reports will provide different views of the information so that you can learn different opportunities, but usually it's for making your case. If you need more budget, if you need more time, if you need assistance, these reports help you do that. So for a manager, what I'm going to show them are all the conversion points on the website and the total value that was generated by hitting all of those conversion points. The next report is a segment report. This is where we look specifically at the search engine optimization and the keyword segments and how they're performing. So for segment 1 is my group of keywords for a specific word. I look at my conversion rate for that segment, the bounce rate, the value per visitor, the average profit margin if you're doing e-commerce, and the average ranking for those words. So if you have maybe 20 or 30 words in that segment, average out the average ranking, because what that will provide then is an immediate look at what action can be taken. In my number 2 segment, I've got a great profit margin and a great conversion rate, but my average ranking is very low. So I know immediately for that keyword segment, the best thing that I can do is work on rankings. For segment 5, I have a low conversion rate. My profit margin is low, and my average ranking is pretty good. So even with that good visibility in the rankings, I have a low conversion rate and a low profit margin. That's going to go to the bottom of my list because segment number 6 has a great conversion rate, has a great profit margin but low rankings, so I want to focus my time there. I also do a return on investment report. One thing I always want to know is how much money I'm making based on how much I'm spending. I want to do a dollar-for-dollar marketing report, that for every dollar I spend in search engine optimization, what am I getting as a result? I also do the same thing for every dollar that I'm spending in pay-per-click marketing, what am I getting in result? So we generated this report for managers that are doing both paid and non-paid so that they can compare the cost and the revenue from each campaign. Sometimes what we find is the pay-per-click campaign is actually costing money, that for every dollar that was spent, they were only making 23 cents. But in SEO, for every dollar they were spending in SEO, they were making over $3, nearly $4 in revenue. And so this is a great report to let people know if they're spending their money in the right places to get the most out of it. The action report is for those people that are doing the day-to-day items that need the extra detail and instruction for what am I going to do that day. This is where analytics really excels in being able to find out what am I doing to get new customers, compare them to old customers. How was the activity different today than it was last week or last month? What is selling better now than in other times? So comparison is always important to do, and it's always vital to compare like timetables, such as this month compared to this month last year, rather than month to month, because the trends are not always the same. This is where I like doing a report that's called the pivot table in Google Analytics, because based on the goal, based on what search engine, based on the keyword, the landing page, and the value. If you remember the equation that I presented earlier, I want to know what word did someone use, what page did they see, and what was the conversion rate, and what was their ultimate value. This report shows me all of that information, and what it shows me is that my number 4 keyword is only worth 16 cents per visit, whereas my number 6 keyword is worth almost $7 per visit. So where am I going to focus my time in gaining rankings and getting more visitors for a specific word? Exactly. I'm going to focus my time on the word that provides the most amount of revenue, because that way I can show that I am bringing more money to the bottom line of the business. So always report according to the business goals. Make sure that you interview those people that are involved in the organization that you have to report to. Make sure your reports answer the questions that they have. And you can only do that by asking questions. I find the best SEOs that justify their position as well as bring value to the organization are great at asking questions. Make sure that your reports always show revenue. You are the source of giving people the knowledge they need to do their job better.